Hey there everybody, welcome to another episode of the PowerUp podcast with your host Nathan Shields, aka Osiren. My guests this episode are Ghaleon and Fugee, the organizers of Seasons Beatings in Columbus, Ohio, a great regional tournament that always brings in a lot of people and great competition. I get a little bit of a Seasons Beatings history lesson, and this podcast is basically a little lead-in to Seasons Beatings, which will be happening in approximately 1 month. Make sure that you go to SRK to check out the Seasons Beatings thread, and I hope to see everyone who listens to this podcast at Seasons Beatings. If you're not there, then shame on you. So, there it is. I hope you guys enjoy listening to Fugee and Ghaleon. It was fun talking to them, and I will catch you all later. So, was Seasons Beatings completely your idea at first, Fugee, and then, Chris, did you come in later?
No. Me and Chris we talked about doing a tournament. We just didn't know how to put one together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we both started going. I met Fugee in 2003, and we just met through like a hyper fighting cabinet at Ohio State, and so we started. He knew about all the majors and everything. I didn't know the scene was like that. So we started going to tournaments, and I started going with him to tournaments in 2003 and so we just we went to a number of majors, ECC final round, Midwest Championships, and after a while it was like, well, yeah, we should do something like this for Ohio, because we had a lot of players, and just wanted to see what different we could do with the tournament format, like how we could do our own thing with it.
Right. And then so continue, Fugee. You got how did you get Justin to come? Did he come for the first Seasons Beatings?
Well, what happened was is there was a tournament that was in Cleveland. It was called Midnight Moon Mass, if I can recall correctly. But the very first tournament I'd been to was one that Adam Keats ran. It was UFGT, and he did it at one of my friend's house. And this was back in the I want to say the spring of 2001. And they were holding like 10 tournaments, and you paid one entry fee, and you got to go into all the tournaments.
Oh, wow,
and so that was like my first official tournament that I'd been to, and then the Midnight Moon Mass was going on, and my friend Mike was running those. And,
yeah, Fernwaster, people remember him on the board.
I was playing third. I wasn't really playing Marvel seriously. I was playing Third Strike, and he asked me to run some brackets out there for him, and I seen how the tournament was ran. And they were pretty good considering the time. And then my first major that I went to was actually NEC in 2004. And I ran the Marvel tournament out there. And it was I don't want to say it was a disaster, but we only had two setups. And one setup, people didn't want to play on it because the TV wasn't really all that great. And so that was my first shot at running a tournament with big names in it, and I ran it pretty well, and then I ended up running another Marvel tournament at final round, and then my biggest Marvel tournament was one of the ECCs I had done, and that's when I met all the killers at one time.
So you didn't go in cold turkey, you had some previous tournament experience.
Oh yeah, I had some local experience, and I just took that and went in right into the majors with it. I went from local to major.
Nice.
So,
yeah, to run a good event, we had to do this. We're going to majors a couple of years, and it's hard to really understand what goes into running a tournament and how you run things, and unless you have been there firsthand and you see the kind of you see what goes right and what goes wrong. At big tournaments, because there's always going to be things that are going to go wrong, and
exactly.
So we learned a lot, just traveling and meeting people and talking to people.
So
yeah, from there I just decided that hey, we should throw one here. And, you know, I asked Justin to come to it, and his schedule was pretty busy at the time, and he called me up one day and said, hey, I'll come to your tournament. Because actually the time that I originally planned to do it, his birthday is in November, and he had plans for his birthday, and I told him that, well, I can hold off, you know, whenever you're free. And then he just called me up one day. He goes, when's your tournament again? And I hadn't had a date for it yet, and he just told me, I'll come to it. Just let me know when it is. And that time, the time around his birthday was already right there, so I pushed it back to December, which we got lucky because that year in 2006 we didn't have a crazy winter in December, and it was still warm out, so we got lucky.
Yeah.
Nice. Where was it? Was it at Momo's, the first season?
Yeah.
Meetings?
What happened? Yeah, the first one was at Momo. Yeah, they've all been at Momo's, and what happened was I was trying to think of a venue, and there'd been other tournaments at OSU, and then there'd been some at a land center, and we really didn't have a concrete venue in mind. And I remembered I had ventured into the first Momo's because I lived right around the corner from there, and I knew it was nowhere near the size that we were going to need to run a tournament. But again, it was our first tournament, so I didn't know what the turnout was going to be. Mm-hmm. So I just happened to just go right back. I had moved. I didn't live in that area anymore, and I just happened to go over there, and I was wondering that maybe we could throw our first one there. And then I stumbled across Momo's too, which had completely been they moved it down into where Value City used to be, and as soon as I walked in there, that's when I said, all right, this is where it's going to be.
That was the holy grail of venues, huh?
Yeah, I just walked right in there and said, all right, this is where it's going to be, and I didn't have no idea how I was going to lay it out. I just walked in there and said, this is how it was going to be, and we were going to work it out. It didn't matter what we had to do.
So how did you guys work it out with the owners?
I just walked up to them and told them, hey, this is what I planned on doing, and I asked them what their schedule looked like, and I told them that I can't tell you how many people are going to show up, but this is what I want to do, and they were all for it. And he said, yeah, just let me know the dates and what you need us to do. They were willing to do anything we needed them to do.
Awesome. Had they done like parties before, like
they done, you know, karaoke parties and birthday parties, but never had someone bringing in their own equipment.
Right,
because
exactly.
Fees and stuff for their karaoke rooms. They actually have CRTs in there, and they have, you know, the flat screens and stuff, but they weren't prepared for us to bring all that stuff in there, and they just let us do it. They told us you could move the tables around or whatever you need to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how did you guys, besides Justin, what did you guys do to get people to come to the first season's meetings?
The first one was just, like I said, it was giving the Midwest a chance to play him, because nobody in the Midwest really knew him except people in Chicago, because he's been to Midwest Championships
right.
It's been around. And as far as Ohio, there was really no reason for him to come here, because nobody was winning anything in the majors from Ohio, and so there was really no reason for him to come here. So I figured I'd just bring him here to let some of the people that get to only watch his matches online, and people that thought they could beat him if they ever played him in person, get a chance to play him. And we put it out there that he was coming, and he drew in everybody that came for the first one.
Did you guys post like on SRK and other different forums?
Oh yeah. The first thread that we made was just the title was it. I don't even think it was Seasons Beatings yet, because I didn't even have the name yet. We just named it Ohio Tournament Invaded by Justin Wong.
Yeah.
And people were were skeptical that he was even going to be here.
Oh, okay.
Because me and Chris, we traveled to most of the majors, and Columbus and Cleveland had somewhat of a scene, but they weren't traveling to where they could actually meet these kind of players. So for them to see that he was coming here, I mean, they were probably in the same boat thinking, why is he coming here? Because there was really no reason for him to come here.
Right.
And we made a lot of traveling just around Ohio and everything. You get word of players. Someone's good in Cincy, so you have them up in Columbus and everything. So we had a lot of contacts just regionally. So we figured we get Justin here, and that's gonna be a successful tournament. But it was also just to get all the regional people together and just have a good tournament for everyone. Because we made friends with like the Michigan guys, Ohio. We knew Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Indiana. So it was pretty much just to get all those guys together.
Nice.
Too.
Which was kind of interesting to see, because I have a lot of friends that they would say that, if I ever got a chance to play him and they saw his videos and they would say, well, he's not going to do me like that. So, here's your chance to find out. So we put it together.
Found out.
Awesome. What was the first game list for Seasons Beatings?
The first game, it was pretty standard. Whatever we pretty much stayed aligned with Evo. Whatever was going on with Evo, that's what we did.
Nice.
Yeah. And whatever little games, side games that the community wanted to do, we allowed it. If with the setups and the time allowed it, we went ahead and allowed them to do it. But primarily whatever Evo was doing.
Okay. Now on tournament day, how did was it still the whole weekend for the first one, or was it just one day?
The very first one was actually, I think it
might have been one day.
Was one day. The first one we did it in one day. I know we did it in one day because we went to the club after the very first one, which was kind of we were actually in the club at 12:30, so it was over pretty quick.
How did it all run? Was it pretty smooth? Any stories? Interesting stories?
Yeah, we didn't have any problems.
Yeah, we didn't have any problems. It was pretty smooth, the first one.
Yeah.
Very cool. Let's see. So you guys didn't have any trouble with setups or the venue or anything? Yeah, it sounds like Momos. They were very accommodating. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
What was were there any oh shit moments? Was anybody this close to beating Justin in any of the games?
I don't think so. I think he came in and I knew he was going to win every tournament, and he did. That's exactly what he did.
Yeah, he blew over everybody.
Yeah, I think it was over everybody.
The first one, it was me and Justin in third straight grand finals, and he just used Sean on me, and he was just dicking around and everything. It was
wow.
Not even. I won. I won one match on him, and that was about it.
And then he got pissed.
I don't think he had any threat at all.
No. We did, and then kind of in response to that was the next tournament that we did, which was in April, so it was a mid-year tournament. We just called it Mission Impossible and had Justin out again, and we put a bounty that if you could beat Justin at any time in the tournament, so not even in grand finals or anything, if you could beat Justin at in any game that he played at any time in the tournament, we'd give, I don't remember how much money we gave, but we were going to give you like a bounty. It
was $50 if you sent him to the losers, and then $100 if you eliminated him in any game.
Yeah, okay.
And nobody collected the bounty on him.
The only person who came close was Vega, Brent from Indiana. He almost came down to the last game, I think, in Super Turbo. That was about it.
So you guys had kind of gotten bitten sort of by the tournament bug even before you held the first season's beatings. What made you decide to have one again in spring, and have you done more spring tournaments since then? Well,
the spring tournament we did was for the it was just for the bounty. We just was like, well, let's bring him back and see if somebody can get him in something.
Right.
So we brought him back, and it didn't work.
So then Seasons Beatings 2 came later that year. How did you guys start planning for that? Was there anything new that you wanted to try or anything like that?
Well, what happened with Seasons Beatings 2 is I'm pretty sure you heard that this was in 2007.
Right.
And it was after Evo. And me and Havad were talking. You know who Havad Khan is?
No.
Havad Khan he's a now professional player. He's professional poker player for PokerStars.
Okay.
And me and him, he used to be pretty big in the Marvel scene. Mainly on the East Coast, and he was solely responsible. Him and Isaac Graham were responsible, along with me, that we put together the Duck versus Sanford match in 2006.
Okay. And
we were talking on AIM one day, and he was telling me that he liked Yipes over Justin for $4,000, and I said, well, I'll take that bet right now. And so at Evo, him and Justin were supposed to play, for a crazy amount of money, and for whatever reason they weren't allowed to play, and we were going to try and run the 5-on-5 back, and we weren't able to get that.
Yeah, the East Coast versus West Coast 5-on-5, which hadn't happened. That was the first one, the first and only one at that point was what, 2002 or 3?
2003.
Yeah.
And so, Yipes, all the East Coast came out pretty strong for 2007 for Marvel, and we went out there, and a lot of the stuff that we wanted to happen on the stage didn't happen. So this was the time when Sanford had beaten Justin in the last two majors that they played, and he beat him at final round. And
yeah, I remember that.
He beat him at ECC 2007, and here it is, Yipes. He won Evo 2007, and then we didn't get to do the match between Justin and Yipes, and Sanford got cheated in the winners, the top 8 of Evo, and so
you don't want to say cheated.
Well, I know what happened, so I'm going to say he got cheated. So
what happened?
Huh?
What happened?
That's another story. We can talk about that on another one. But what happened with Seasons Beatings 2 is we didn't get to have all that stuff go down at Evo. So here you got 3 people that have all won major titles. And everyone's pretty much at their peak, and so I figured, well, let's do a match with all 3 of them. Let's find out who the best one is. So I came up with the 3-way between Justin, Sanford, and Yipes, which had never been done before. And so I called Justin one day and said, hey, let's do that. And I had made the thread probably about 2 weeks before even having a main event for it. And I called Justin and said, hey, let's do that. And so that day they got on there and they started posting that they were going to, just body each other. And then that thread just took off.
Yeah. That was a great thread.
So that pretty much carried Seasons Beatings 2, and then everybody else, all the other people for the other games, they just followed it.
Yeah, it just grew from that.
So there were, again, no problems. Everything went really smooth.
Yeah, I can't remember anything with 2. I don't recall anything bad happening with 2. Well, Third Strike got a little crazy. We didn't move some people around in the first round of the bracket. Some people were having to play each other, I guess.
In the first couple rounds.
Well,
we had the long story short was that we had paper sign-ups, and our sign-up system was a little antiquated, and we ended up with Canada, we had a lot of them on the sign-up sheet twice, because I had some of them under their board name and then sometimes under their real name.
Oh, okay.
So then when we got into the tournament, it's I'd have
people were showing up for round 1 twice.
Yeah, pretty much, and they'd be like, "Oh, I played already."
Right.
And then
exactly.
Canada came down pretty. I mean, the GT ASF, they came down pretty strong, and because there were so many of them, they ended up having to play each other early, and so that was kind of brought to attention.
Yeah.
But other than that, I can't think of anything else that went wrong with that tournament.
So with the successful conclusion of SB2, have you had at that point you guys started thinking about recording matches or getting merchandise out or anything like that?
Yeah, we did. I actually had somebody that was going to film for 2 and 3, but they decided to back out at the last moment.
Oh, that sucks.
And then as far as merchandise and stuff, no, we just started thinking about that this year.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a lot. I mean, you got to remember, it's just 2 of us. It's just me and there's a lot of stuff to do to prepare for it. So we just want to make sure all the priorities are covered.
Right.
And
exactly.
So there's too much stuff going on with merchandise, and that's just another person you have to keep an eye on. And if they don't come through for you, and we put it out there on the thread that this is going to happen, then that just goes towards our credibility. So we just try to limit what has to be done.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. We're thinking about we might do a little bit this year. I'm going to try to get we try to get some T-shirts made and things like that, because I think at this point that we could actually it wouldn't be an unsuccessful venture. If we made T-shirts, it seems like now they would probably get bought basically.
Right.
We just don't want to. We wouldn't want to get ourselves involved in anything that's A, over our head, and B, require even more resources if it's not going to pay off. And the payoff meaning that it just pays for itself pretty much. We don't want money on doing, extra things at this point if we can help it.
Exactly. Well, then let's move on to SB3. So you guys had finished SB2. What were the special events that you started having, or was there another spring tournament after SB2, or did you just wait?
No other spring tournament. It was another year where we went to Evo, and basically I just said, all right, check it out. The 5-on-5 hasn't been able to be the rematch. We can't get it done at Evo, and nobody else is stepping up to try to do it. So I figured, all right, well, here it is. Here's our opportunity. This was, last year a lot of people were saying that that's it for Marvel. If after this year no one's going to play no more because Street Fighter 4 is coming out, HD is coming out, and we tried to get it popping off again at 2008, and we weren't sure who was going to show up to Evo, and so I said, all right, well, we're going to get. The main event is going to be Justin versus Yipes because I had talked to Justin after Evo last year and said, all right, check it out. If it don't happen here, then we're going to do it at the next season's meetings. And so that was already a preconceived main event. And then the 5-on-5 was just something that, all right, since, I Marvel is my main game, and that's usually what I travel for, and that's who most of my network is. I'm just going to get it over with. So I had talked to a few people. I tried to get mostly the original members from 2003 to do it, and all of them were interested. Duck was interested, but he has a family, and his time is limited that he can travel from work. And so for Duck, it would have been he'd have to fly out here and then fly right back the very next day. So that was too much for him. And Sue Mighty, who is a big name on the West Coast, he'd never traveled for any Marvel tournament. So right there, to get him out here was crazy because no one believed that would happen. And so that's who I probably worked on the hardest to get out here. And then you got Rotron from 2003, who no one's seen him since 2006 at Evo, and no one believed he was going to get out here, which also fueled another match between him and Sanford because him and Sanford had they were 1-1. Actually, I think it might have been 1-2 in Rotron's favor at the time, and a lot of people wanted to see them play a first to 10. And if I could get him out here, not only could we do the 5-on-5, but we could get Sanford Rotron on the flyer too, which again no one thought that was possible because Rotron didn't travel for tournaments anymore, and they just didn't think it was going to happen. So my two priorities for the West Coast team was Sue and Rotron, and on the West Coast they could not agree on a team
at Evo, right?
Yeah, that could represent their coast, and so we could either handpick the team or go by results and do a qualifier, but the time was limited to do that.
Right.
I just was like, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go by results of some of the last tournaments. I'm bringing Sue because he went 5-0 in the last 5-on-5, and he was slated to play on the 5-on-5 at 2007. That didn't happen, and so Chris Schmidt was tearing everybody up on the West Coast. He had won the Evo West, and he made top 8 at 2007. So he was on the team, and then by the time everyone had got here, we just went by the results of the singles from SB3, and it ended up being the only person that was left out was Jamar, who was slated to be on the team, but he ended up just giving his spot to Roe because he thought he'd be a better fit, and he would do more for the team.
Yeah, basically we were so happy was because the East Coast, because we've been going all mostly East Coast stuff. Me especially, like Robert been out to California and everything, but I would just go to ECC, final round, and then Midwest once in a while. And you'd see like we would see all these East Coast names and everything at all these majors, but the West Coast they don't go to like every East Coast major and everything. So it's like these are guys that most people over here are never going to see. They're only going to see them on videos. So to get all those guys out here on the West Coast was just really crazy.
What was the process like to get those guys out here? I mean, what did you have to do? What kind of legwork?
Well, see, I already knew most of the people, so it wasn't like I had to, it was coming from a stranger. See, the thing with Rotron and Jamar was they had school. Their school schedules were kind of hectic, and Sue was starting new jobs, and everybody else was, it was cake getting them out here. It was just, hey, this is what I'm going to do. You guys down? They're like, yeah, we're down. Let's do it. But the only three that I had to really stay on top of was Rotron, Jamar, and Sue. And Sue was up in the air for the longest. And then when I went to Evo, he was like, yeah, I'm down. I'm coming out there. And so I had to stay on top of him. And then he gave me the okay, and then that was it.
Was
I mean,
there any travel costs that you covered a little bit for him to help him out, or was
yeah,
it...
I brought him out here.
Okay.
One
Very
of Sue's
cool.
friends ended up coming with him, but yeah, we paid for them to come out here.
Did you guys get recouped for that, or was it basically,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
we're just going to do it, and then it's just for
Yeah,
the fans?
Yeah, we went in there. Yeah, we didn't go in thinking that. I mean, I figured that the event was gonna pay for all their expenses coming here,
Right.
but it was still a risk. I mean, it wasn't guaranteed.
Right.
We fronted all of the expenses for the event.
Very cool.
Yeah. But I mean, by Seasons Meetings 3, it was at the point where it's like, okay, we have an expectation of how much, venue fee we're going to take in and all that stuff, so we could, like, a lot more accurately figure out what we could spend to make the event, really awesome without, going in the red, basically, at that point.
Exactly. All right. Now, what about, I know there was the Guilty Gear problem at SB3, but was there anything else that went wrong?
Well, just Soul Calibur not having enough stations, but, we've, pretty much, everyone pretty much already knows about all that stuff, so
Yeah.
just Guilty and SC, everything else went, pretty well.
And then obviously the 5-on-5 gave birth to that awesome video that you can find on YouTube now.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Like going on friggin' Joystick, joystick.com, the blog.
Which video is that?
The Pringles, the Yipes.
No, that's
series.
that's not actually a 5-on-5. That's the Demon Hayo Potter match.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because those two were talking smack to each other on the threads, and then they ended up playing at SB2, and that was one of the first money matches that happened at SB2, and Yipes was in the back.
Oh, okay.
East Coast Marvel is on another level. I mean, that's what made the game so hype.
Yeah, because how into it the guys are.
Back when Marvel was really, really big, I mean, that was their lives. So, I mean, they went out there and it's really hard to win on the East Coast back at that time, and especially with, a lot of them talking smack behind you, saying that you suck, and it's just really hard to play against, that type of crowd. And Yipe was on the commentary, and he was just saying a bunch of just whatever, and somebody got a hold of that video and cropped it up, and that's what we have today.
So what's kept you both going running SB? Is it just the love of the fighting games? I mean, what's the draw for you both?
Yeah, I just like games and I like getting everyone together. Like, especially regionally, like Fugee kind of has like more contacts with like the national people and everything, and it's like, when I go to majors, like I'll hang out a little bit, but I'm not like personal friends with any of those guys really. But I go to all these like more regional things too. Like so I'm good friends with like the Indiana guys. Like I'm pretty good friends with some of the Michigan guys, Ohio. So just like getting everyone together, and it's a pretty good scene because there aren't like a lot of like really weird people that travel, and it's like you don't want to see, like, everyone who travels and everything is like pretty cool to hang out with. And it's just really nice being a part of something. You can, see this, like when we have like the SB thread and everything, and you got all these big names in there, and all the local names too. Everyone just saying what a good time they have and how much they enjoy our events. It's really, like, it's just a really good feeling, that everyone has such a good time at it, and that's pretty much what I'm in it for.
Exactly. I mean, that's what you want. You want people to have a good time. You want to mix the big names with the small names, get people to meet each other.
Yeah, because I don't really even play anymore. I mean, I basically have too many hobbies that I host a game night in Cleveland once a week, but like I'm not sitting down like learning frame data, or like I don't know Street Fighter 4 at all. I'm not going to like learn new games at this point. So to me, it's just like organizing, and like like at regional stuff, like I'll play because I have time to play, but
Right.
I'm more about just like trying to organize stuff now and just making sure people have a good time.
So what are your guys' do's and don'ts for a tournament? What are like some of the things you absolutely make sure you get done, and then some other things that, I don't know, how do you guys prevent problems before they ever happen?
Well, one thing you got to do is, like Fugee would always talk about this, that you can't make promises that you're not going to be able to uphold, or you can't make promises that you're like, oh, that sounds, you can't be like a event or something and say, oh, this is going to happen, but in the back of your mind, you know that, like, oh, it might happen. But so you got to make sure that whatever promises that you make, you can come through with, because then people know that you're true to your word, and you're not going to hand people bullshit just to get more people to come to your tournament. And then they come to the tournament and they're like, well, you said you were going to do all these other things, but none of it happened, you know. And that's one really important thing. The other two is just be fair with the tournaments. Make sure that, you know, whoever runs the tournament, how the tournament is seeded, you know, for third strike or something, the person seeding the, like, third strike should know, you know, a little bit know enough about the game that they could seed it accurately, so you don't have, you know, kind of like random, like, goofy brackets, because that's something people complain about, you know, after the tournament's over, like, oh, that bracket was really weird or whatever.
So you guys obviously have, like, other people running these games. Do you run any of the games yourself, and what's your criteria for getting someone, I mean, other than just general knowledge, do they have to have knowledge of the players, too, and how to seed them?
Well, now that, you know, since what happened at SB3, and it's just by my experience, my personal experience, because, you know, I tend to run only Marvel tournaments. I can run any tournament, but now I just, as far as people running tournaments, and I was talking to Chris about it the other day, the best approach to have someone running a tournament is, if let's say, take CVS2 for example, if you want CVS2 to run, you know, right, not saying that, this is not saying just anybody, but for me, my opinion is that you need someone that's all they care about.
Right.
That's their game, because they're not going anywhere, and if they've been around for a while, they know most of the network, and it's going to be that much easier for them to get there to get them to stay in the area to play their matches, and they're just going to make sure that the brackets run right and that they're fair, because they're going to know the caliber of players in the brackets, and they're going to know that certain people aren't to play each other right away, and that you don't have one side of the bracket that's completely full of killers and the other one's all just up and comers.
Right.
So that right there is very important for, you know, from here on out, that we make sure that the people that are running these brackets are, I mean, if we got someone running third strike, then I want to know that that's one of their main games. That's probably what they care about the most.
Yeah, which is usually every SB I've run third strike, and like we had like, you know, some seeding problems in 2, and SB3 was pretty crazy, but I mean, I was at the point where it's like I knew, you know, a lot of the, you know the people, so you can flag down, you know, players, you know what they look like, so you can be like, oh, I think I saw him over there, so you can, you know, tell someone to go grab them because they're playing some other game. You definitely, you want whoever's running the tournament should know the players, and like you said, like, know how to seed it so it's fair.
Nice. Now, I'm pretty sure that you guys probably have like a megaphone or something to get your voice up over the crowd.
We've got 2 megaphones, and we need to look into...
Yeah, we'll have more.
We need to look into we'll definitely get some more this year, and we'll definitely need to look into the house sound, because they have house sound that are they're compatible with wireless mics, but for some reason, every year when we go in there, they're kind of...
they never work.
They distort for some reasons. And I know they have karaoke tournaments there all the time, and they use the same mics that we're using, and I don't know what it is that's causing it, but every time that we're there and we're having to use it, the mics are crackling, and if you go, you know, out to a certain range, it starts getting unbearable.
The feedback.
My friend's a DJ, and he's got some equipment, so we may have to just go off and just use his equipment next year. Or this.
Good idea.
Well, speaking of the tech side, I've been watching the live stream for Devastation, and it's been pretty good. Have you ever heard of DJ Wheat?
Yeah, I watched their pre-recorded section the other day, yesterday. Yeah, and it looks pretty good. I was thinking about maybe seeing if, I don't know if those guys, but possibly doing a live stream for 4.
That would be awesome. Yeah, that would just be amazing. You just have to worry about, like, I think the way they had it set up was whichever games had like one station, which would be the streaming station, you know?
Yeah, it would be your main station.
Yeah.
I suppose is how they're doing it.
Yeah.
But they're not playing. They're only doing one game at a time, correct?
I think it's like they'll have the stream station, and then they'll make sure to get any like cool matches to the stream station, and then everybody else plays on like the other 3 stations just to make sure the tournament keeps going.
Right. Yeah. That's pretty much how they do it at Evo. When you get a big stage or a big screen match, they'll move it over there, and those are the ones that usually make the DVD.
Nice. So what do you
and
guys...
we do that. Oh, we got the same thing too. We always have a main station in the middle, and it's we have it broadcasted on the 2 HD monitors that are above it.
Awesome. For Marvel, yeah.
For any game that's played over there. I mean, like I said,
usually it's Marvel.
Usually it's Marvel, but I mean that's pretty much where we're going to have that station at if we decide to stream it.
Yeah, it'll probably be for SF4 this year because SF4 is going to take so much of our time and resources, and it's definitely going to be the biggest game.
Definitely. So is there anything else special that you'd want to give like hints at, or anything you've got in the works?
Well, like I told Chris, we're staying on the low for a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of tournaments that are out going on right now. There's actually one next week here in Columbus. It's called Focus Cancel.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know too much about it. I just know that the 2 people that are running it, I'm cool with. They're friends of mine. But we're staying pretty much low until after Evo is done, because I want to see gauge what the interests are in some of the games that are potentially going to die off this year, and then with Marvel coming out on the PS
network
and on a network, I just want to see if it gives a boost, if it brings some of the old players back, and because that's my game, Marvel, that I'm going to focus on promoting. Even though Street Fighter 4 is where the community is right now, we're still we're going to cater to them too, and all the other communities. But I just want to see what the results are, because right now, Justin having winning all these tournaments, and even the national tournament at GameStop. I mean, there's still debate on whether he's the best player in the country, which I don't know why, but there is. And so I'm trying to gauge what the results are from Evo, and then we'll go ahead and see what kind of events we can make out of that.
Nice. Well, dang, that sounds like you guys got it all planned out.
Well, we got a lot of decisions to make because, like you said, with the old games, some of them potentially on the verge of, not being viable tournament games. And with BlazBlue and KOF coming out, it seems like BlazBlue's got a lot of attention, but we don't know where KOF is going to be by the time SB comes around. So we might have to, and even with Marvel, because I read today that the network version got pushed back, so I guess Evo's still going to run Marvel on Dreamcast. So we're going to have to decide whether to do the network version or the Dreamcast version. It could depend on how many PlayStations we think we're going to have, because it'd be easier to run another game on Dreamcast, but I mean, if that's not where the scene is, then we can't really do it.
Right.
So there's probably more. I think, to me, it's more than any other time that we've been running tournaments. We've got more question marks to figure out between now.
There's so many games being released this year.
Yeah, there's just too many games.
So many different things happening.
So, I mean, we're going to have to squeeze it all pretty much into 2 days. And, SB3 was pretty crazy. Sunday was a little bit more chill last year, but CBS still took all day. So we definitely, it's gonna be tough getting everything in, but we'll figure out how to do it.
I'm sure it'll all be great.
Yeah.
Well, let's go.
We'll get it to work out one way or another.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's go ahead and great Seasons Beatings talk. I like the little history lesson. Definitely some great information there. So let's go ahead and talk about Fugee, just you as a player. How did you get started in fighting games?
Well, I've been playing Street Fighter since 91,
right?
Since the first Street Fighter. I played the first Street Fighter I'm from Arizona, and so I started playing at Great Games, the first Street Fighter, and I didn't really know about 2 until after it had been out for a while, and then I played World Warrior, and then of course Champion Edition, and the only 2 tournaments that I played for Street Fighter was Champion Edition, and I played the Hyper Fighting tournaments, and I won 2 tournaments out in Arizona. This was when I was 17, 18 years old, and I didn't play none of the alphas, and I didn't play Killer Instinct, and the next game from there I played Mortal Kombat 3, and of course moved on to Ultimate and played in 2 tournaments in Ultimate and won both of the 2 tournaments that I played in there. And then the PlayStation came out was 95.
Yeah.
And from there, that was pretty much the end of my arcade days. I didn't play in the arcade anymore. And then I played every now and then, some of my friends, but most of the Street Fighter people back then, I mean, they moved on and started doing other things. And I didn't get back into Street Fighter until, like I said, 2001 when I went to that first UFGT.
Now, have you already been playing Marvel 2 a little bit before that?
Nope. I started playing. I'll take that back. We started playing Marvel 2 probably 3 months before that UFGT, and we were playing. We didn't know what we were doing. We were playing on Turbo 2, and we were playing with the low tier characters, and it was just 3 of us, and we didn't know what we were doing.
What was your original team? What was your original team? Iceman, Guile?
Was Iceman, Guile, and I believe BB Hood, or maybe a Mingo. It was a combo of those 4 characters, and that was it. And we played on Turbo 2, and we played long sessions, and we never talked about going to any tournaments or whatever, and I just happened to meet my friend Jose through one of my friends, Danny, and he told us about this tournament that was going on a week in advance, and we decided all right, let's go ahead and go down there. And I went to that UFGT, and I'll never forget, I walked in there, and they were playing, Marvel 2 was being played, and I was playing my team, which was garbage. I didn't know it then until I had met Chris Rose, who's from Cincinnati. He was part of the Team Cincinnati team. I had no idea. I mean, I had no idea about who Magneto was, because I don't follow the X-Men or the DC comics or none of that, or the comics or anything.
Right.
And he picked. I believe he was playing MSP at the time, and he just destroyed my team. I had never seen any combos like that in any game. Not what he was doing. And from there, I just was like, all right, I got to learn how to play these characters. And so I pretty much dropped my team and picked up Magneto and just learned him on a pad. I started Marvel on a pad and never played on a stick. And that's pretty much my Marvel history, and just stayed in the lab in training mode and learned pretty much everything I know now just in training mode.
You didn't have to go to any of the forums or anything? Did you look up any information?
No, I watched videos. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say I never watched I watched the videos, but you can't really, as far as learning the commands, I never looked up the commands on how to actually do what I was seeing.
Right.
I had to stay in training mode and figure it out on my own.
Impressive.
I mean, there was a couple people that told me what to do, but back then I didn't know like what those commands were. I didn't know about canceling and all that, any of that stuff. Yeah, I didn't know the difference between super jumping and normal jumping, because I'm from the old school days, so I never really had to do any of that stuff.
Right. And you just managed to teach yourself all of it in training mode.
Oh yeah, yep.
That's pretty awesome. Huh. So you really didn't have that much like involvement with the forum community or anything like that, but
no. I mean, we played Third Strike pretty deep too. I mean, like I said, on pad, and we went to Midwest Championships, and Nebraska was pretty big in Third Strike at the time. And I got on the forums, and we were talking trash in Nebraska, and we ended up playing them in a hotel room at Midwest Championship and did pretty well against them at the time. But we didn't have a whole lot of experience. It was all just a bunch of friends that played just Street Fighter games. We never. I mean, like I said, the tournaments that I'd been to, they were, 10 years in the past.
Right.
If not longer. But yeah, I didn't have a whole lot of tournament experience. And from there, like the first Midnight Mass that I had ran, I had played in the Third Strike tournament that I was running, and I ended up getting second place. I had lost to one of my friends from Detroit. And from there, I just pretty much hung up the playing in tournaments and just focused on running the tournaments. And so now I just back to where I was, square one, just playing with my friends. Like Chris, when Chris comes into town, when we play, that's pretty much most where my playing is. But at the events, you won't see me playing much at the events.
Well,
yeah, we don't have time.
Exactly.
Even at SB3, I still played in SB2, but SB3, it was just like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to play in the Third Strike tournament. And people are like, oh, why aren't you entering Third Strike? Like good people and everything who are like better than me, but like, no, I like the game. And I was just like, no, there's just no way. You gotta be so focused on, running the event when it gets that big that you can't be involved in trying to get casuals in or anything, or playing a tournament.
So what are your guys' opinions on where the scene's going right now? Like, you've probably heard of Gutex trying to get Street Fighter 4 and the MLG, and then all of these new games coming out. Like, what's your guys' feel right now for the scene?
Right now it's all about Street Fighter 4. That's all I hear about is Street Fighter 4. And, you got King of Fighters coming out, and then what is it? Is it Blaze Blue?
It comes out in like a week and a half.
Yeah. And so we'll see, from there. Soul Calibur, I guess it has its own following, but right now it's all about Street Fighter 4. I mean, everybody is playing Street Fighter 4. And so we'll see what happens. Like, we'll see like what Marvel does on the network, if it brings out some people that don't get it, because I know a bunch of people that are really good at Marvel and don't travel, and they're decent for not having good competition where they live. I mean, like,
even just in Ohio here, we've got a couple people who are good but just don't travel.
And then with the online, they'll be able to play somebody in California, maybe with a little lag, but even still, that would be better than nothing.
Right. It's good. Like Street Fighter 4 is huge. Everyone's playing, but like I said, as far as us waiting for the results of Evo, you don't really have a rivalry in it yet.
Right.
And that's what you need. You need some kind of rivalry. I mean, there's always going to be East versus West, but as far as the East is concerned, I mean, a lot of people, Justin is considered, primarily the East, and there needs to be some more people come out from the East. I mean, as far as like overall games, I mean, he's considered the East because he plays everything,
right?
And he places in everything, but it just can't always be about him. There's got to be some other people come out so we can have more rivalries. And with the more rivalries you have, I mean, the better your events are going to be. Because, I mean, as far as tournaments are fun, but that's all they are. You need, for me, I look at it like boxing because I'm more of a promoter type dude, and I like to like hype things up.
You need that drama.
So if you don't have nothing like that, I mean, it's just going to be just tournaments which have been running forever. But I mean, if with Chris, like I told him when we first started doing these things, if the idea is to get bigger and better every time.
Nice.
And able to do that, I mean, we're known for putting together, events that people say aren't going to happen. So here it is now. We're at 4. So what can we do now that hasn't been done?
You could fly in Daigo.
So, that was, we actually talked about that.
Yeah?
That could be a possibility.
That would be amazing. You'd have to hire a translator.
Yeah, that could possibly. Well, I'm good friends with NKI, so there it is right there.
Hey, awesome.
NKI goes to Japan an awful lot. So there's our translator if we are to get that to pop off, because Valle and Justin are supposed to play for a good deal of money, but that hasn't been finalized yet. And there have been talks that they don't want to see that; they'd rather see Daigo. And so, I had talked to Justin before we decided to do 4, and I told him that, hey, we need to get together and brainstorm something we could put together for 4. And so he's supposed to get back to me on that. So the next time I talk to him, I'll run some ideas to him and see what he thinks. But
Very
that
cool.
could be a possibility.
Yeah, it would be amazing if you guys could have a live stream too. I think that would just, because there were like, I was listening to the Devastation, and they said they had like 5,000 people watching. That's just crazy. I mean, I don't know if not many people would tune into SB, but it would definitely be probably, 1,000 people if you get the word out, especially on the forums.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, it'll be big.
Well, Well, guys, I think that, I mean, that's pretty much all the talking points that I have. Is there anything that you guys have been doing lately, fighting game related, or anything you'd like to talk about in these final 8 minutes?
I'm just kind of just keep doing, my own thing here in Cleveland. I go to Columbus. I pretty much all I do in terms of fighting games anymore is I have, the fight night just to get everyone together, and especially with four, try to get some new people to, to meet other people and actually, see how these games are played at like higher levels and everything. And most people don't really want to put the time, to like get to that kind of level of like mind games and everything. So people will show up for a day and then leave. But
oh, that sucks.
Yeah, just pretty much I just try to go to, I try to hit, all the regional tournaments pretty much. And like they just opened a new arcade in Cincinnati.
Yes.
And those guys are really awesome.
Arcade Legends.
Yeah, and they're trying to cater to the fighting game community because, that's like good repeat business for them. And that place is awesome. So I'm going down there, trying to help those guys make something of their events whenever I can.
Yeah, I'm trying to get their the ranking battles started this July. You might have seen the post on SRK.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. The games are all subject to change, I like to tell people.
Yeah.
But because we just don't know about BlazBlue, if that's going to replace Guilty Gear or what the story's going to be there.
Yeah, I think it's strange that a lot of the other communities seem to have this attitude where if like a new installment or whatever comes out, it has to replace, like whatever the old game was, even if they're not super related.
Right.
But like Smash is like that. I don't know why they can't just play Melee and Brawl at tournaments, but
yeah,
it's just
true.
how the scene is. It's not like, Alpha 3 came out, so no one can play Super Turbo anymore or whatever,
right.
or Street Fighter, when that was out. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Yeah, a lot of new games coming out. It's pretty exciting.
It's going to be quite the year, and then it'll be cold for like. Well, I have been hearing a lot about the second iteration of Street Fighter 4. There's been some rumors and some little mini announcements from Capcom about things that they would like to see. I think I've heard some and read some talk about Gouken's daughter being in the second release of Street Fighter 4. Sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, as long as they fix the game, then
yeah.
I think that's all I need to do.
Yeah.
I don't really care for 4 that much, but I mean, when we I'll have it up every game night because that's what people are playing. So it's like whatever people want to play, give it to them, let them play.
Yeah, that'll bring the people in, definitely.
Yeah, that's like with tournaments or anything. You just do your best to give the players what they want. I mean, that's really the key to running any kind of successful like video game event. Just whatever the players want to do, just give it to them.
Nice. Well, am I going to see you at the Arcade Legends 27th tournament, Ghaleon?
Yeah, we're coming down there. We should have about like 5 people up here. Nash is he's kind of disappointed about how he did in the grand finals. He's doing some silly shit.
For the Street Fighter 4?
Trying to get back. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Played that Balrog player.
Yeah.
So.
It's kind of funny. I actually knew the Balrog player through a Smash Brothers player.
Oh yeah.
Because I played some casuals with him later that evening. It was kind of funny. He's like, "Do you know Steel Samurai?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he plays Brawl." It's like, "Oh, I know him too." It's like, "Oh, okay."
Marvel's gonna be nice too. I'm really looking forward to going down there for Marvel.
I'm looking forward to getting my ass kicked. Honestly, I am.
You're gonna have some good teachers down there because VDO told me that he and Michigan are trying to come down, so that should be like 5 people. And VDO is like knows the game pretty friggin' well.
Awesome.
And my friend Alan, who's the MVC2 fanatic on the boards, he's from Texas and he hasn't gone to any events. He even had to miss Seasons Beating 3, even though he had just came to school because he's in medical school up here and he's really busy. So he's coming down, and
He said he was going to go back in the room and learn some more in the middle of a match. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just talking about I was talking to my boy Fanatic about a match that happened at 2007. Now you know what? For 4, we will say that if Marvel is still alive after Evo, depending on what the East Coast showing is. I mean, I really wanted him to come. He was supposed to be at 3.
Fanatic.
Yeah, Fanatic was supposed to be at 3, but we couldn't get a ticket for him in time that was acceptable because we'd waited so long. But yeah, I'd really like to do some matches with him against some people from the East Coast because he gets a lot of controversy for playing on a pad with a one-button dash.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've been to California where at his home arcade where he plays at Family Fun America, and I actually think he's better on the arcade.
On a stick. Yeah, it's not like he can't play stick or anything. I mean, he's a really good player.
Yeah, he's a beast on arcade. So I'll put that out there. I'm talking to him now. As far as the Marvel fans out there, he's a strong possibility to be a contestant at 4.
Cool.
You remember Total Tonnage, right? You know him, right? From Texas, Fugee.
Yeah.
He's my friend Alan up here in med school because he played Marvel, with Total Tonnage and those Texas guys. And he's Fanatic is in Texas right now, and he's just like giving all those guys all kinds of shit. So yeah, I definitely like to see him. It sounds like he's got some grud matches going. So I'd like to set some up.
Well, Fugee, let me ask you, what has kept you from moving out to somewhere like California where the tournament scene is so much more robust than in the Midwest? What's kept you here?
My job.
Ah.
I work for Abbott Nutrition, and we are international. However, the pay scale is a lot lower in California. We are actually the highest paid facility in the world.
It's all about the money.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with California, the cost of living is higher, but your wages are lower.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be taking a beating moving out to California.
Right. So it's not necessarily like a yearning or something for the Midwest that keeps season's beatings here.
Oh no! If I hadn't been in the tournament, I have been gone.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's one of the first. When I first made this website, PowerUpFighters.com, it was for the Midwest. That was like when I first had the idea. It's like, the West Coast obviously has their huge scene. The East Coast has a pretty big scene, even though if it's just basically Justin. I mean, he can be a scene in and of himself. But
there's a lot of East Coast people. They play a lot of different games.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, in any event, like the coast's just so big, and then the Midwest is just, except for seasons beatings, and I guess final round might be considered like Southern Midwest. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of its own area, really.
Yeah.
They have a really big scene down there. A lot of players.
But yeah, the Midwest, I just always thought that it was very dry. Except in Ohio. For some reason, Smash Brothers in particular, Midwest is like the scene for Smash Brothers, I've heard from a lot of the like Cincinnati and Michigan players. Yeah,
Smash and Guilty are probably like our best, I guess you could just say our best games pretty much, like in terms of quality of players and the amount of players.
Yeah. Well, we'll see where the website continues to go. I don't know exactly where really anymore. It's just trying to get information, get podcasts out there, get people interested in fighting games, and keep growing the scene. It's basically my plan for right now.
That's good.
Yeah.
I've kind of taken a liking into poker these last couple months, so I've kind of been out of the loop for a little bit.
It's kind of funny, when Street Fighter IV burst open the scene, apparently I'm one of the few new players in just the Dayton area that's stuck around. So that's pretty cool, I guess. I guess we've got some decent people who have decided to stick around and learn things like Marvel and CVS2, some of the better games. Even after playing them, it's like I really like CVS2. I'm kind of sad that it's dying out. I've played it a little bit at Arcade Legends, and I think it just plays really smooth to me for some reason. I really love it.
That game it's at high level. That game is just a weird beast.
Yeah.
That's part of why it's really slow, and just with roll canceling and everything, that turned a lot of people off. I think when you get to like the upper level of that game, you just like when Pobo Blow, when Dan from Kentucky, he's a player he pretty much wins like all the regional stuff because he's a good player at CVS and everything, but the way he plays, it's like you're not going to beat him like if you're just like kind of into the game, you know.
Oh, okay.
And Yeah, for whatever reason, CVS is just it's declined faster than like Third Strike and other games have.
That game just takes too long.
Yeah, it's really, really boring to watch. Like whether it's high level or low level, it's
like I said, you just have to be into that game. Like, you know, my friend Baltimore Chun is from Maryland, and you know, Ski Sonic and just a bunch of people that's their game. I mean,
video.
It's just like and video. It's just like, you know, us for, you know, whatever your game is. I mean, you can sit there and watch it forever because, you know, that's your game. But
right.
You know, for me to have, you know, that same feeling about CVS2 is not going to be there because, you know, that's just not my game. So, but it's definitely, you know, a long game, and people that understand the game and understand its depth, then, you know, they have a greater appreciation to sit there for long periods of time and watch, you know, a whole tournament. Whereas, you know, people that are running the tournaments where they're, you know, governed by time.
Right, exactly.
You've got a lot of people in playing in CVS2. I mean, CVS2 can hold up a lot of tournaments because, you know, you got people like, you know, Justin who play in all the tournaments. I mean, he can hold, if he's playing in a final or even in a huge match somewhere, I mean, he can hold your whole tournament up. And that's one tournament.
For half an hour more.
That's one tournament you don't want to have holding up.
Right, exactly. Well, guys, I think that's about it. Really enjoyed talking to both of you. I loved all the information, and thanks so much for coming on and talking with me.
No problem.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Awesome.
Are you coming to 4?
For the 27th?
No, Seasons Meetings 4.
Oh, yes, of course, of course.
Have you been to? Were you at 3?
No, sir. I just recently got into the competitive scene, like at the at New Year.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I haven't even really been around that long.
But yeah, you're in for a treat.
Going to Evo this year?
No, probably not.
Oh, okay.
But no, I'm definitely looking forward to SP4. That's I'm gonna get I think I'm gonna try the Red Roof, see if I can get some rooms there and stay for the whole weekend. I'm gonna try to compete in a lot of stuff just because I love all the games, you know. But it should be definitely a fun. It'll be like my first major, and that'll be extraordinarily cool.
Cool. We look forward to having you.
That'll be awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, and I've got all kinds of games and stuff that I can help out just with whatever little amount of things I can bring. A couple CRTs and things like that. But yeah, that'll come later. We don't have to worry about that right now.
Yeah, we'll be doing the roll call for equipment, because we'll need it.
Well, count me in to help. Thanks again for coming on, guys, and I will see you at Seasons Beatings. I would just like to remind everyone that it's very easy to find the Seasons Beatings thread by going to www.powerupfighters.com and checking out our tournament listings page. Right there underneath Ohio, you will find Seasons Beatings listed for October 16th through 18th in Columbus, Ohio, and I hope to see all of you there.